welcome to another episode of Trip 101 Travel Talk series. Joining me today is Katherine, and we're going to be discussing a very exciting destination, which is the sunshine capital of Europe. It's Croatia. A very warm welcome to you, Katherine. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, happy to. Thank you for having me.
So, before we discuss the destination that we have chosen today, Katherine, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, what you're doing, and how did you end up going to Croatia?
Yeah, so I'm originally from Kansas City, Missouri, smack in the middle of the US. If you're familiar with the Chiefs or NFL, that's my hometown. So originally from there, studied my undergraduate in Los Angeles, and then after studying abroad in England, decided to move back here for a master's. So now I'm based in London. I'm a master's student at the University of Westminster, studying digital marketing management, hoping to go into like the tourism or lifestyle industry because I do love travel, so I'm here. So that's been really fun, but I'm just now finishing that up. And yeah, I've had some work in social media marketing, starting a new role here, hoping to get settled. And that explains why I also enjoy sharing my travels on my social media as well.
And now that you're doing your master's in England, are you using this opportunity to explore a lot of Europe?
Yeah, definitely. I've always loved traveling. I grew up in a family that prioritized travel over buying a new car. We were always going on trips together to either visit family or see new parts of the world. So I've always enjoyed it and wanted to live somewhere that it was easier to travel from because Kansas City and just the center of America is quite far from any other countries and cultures I want to see, and Europe has a lot of that. That was part of the allure of coming to London. I've definitely been using it to have lots of time to travel. I go on a trip to a new country at least once a month, which I feel fortunate to be able to do. I'm definitely
Yeah.
doing it very budget, but I wouldn't take it back for the world. It's been incredible.
Oh, that's so cool. So, which are the ones that you've already visited nearby?
Let's see. So I oftentimes I just visit cities. I wouldn't say I've explored a whole country because it's
Yeah.
difficult to do, but Prague, Budapest, Nice, lots of Italy. I did a Euro railing thing. Rome, Florence, Milan, Venice, Montenegro, a bit around Spain, like Mallorca, Barcelona, Paris, Amsterdam, Portugal. I think the few that I haven't been to yet, at least some part of it, is Belgium, which is funny because it's one of the closest to the UK. Norway, Finland, Baltics, like
Hmm.
Estonia, Latvia, places like that. Those are all next to my list, especially with it being nice like winter weather coming up, like trying to see the Northern
Hmm.
Lights somewhere, maybe Iceland, I don't know. So
Yeah.
definitely still a lot to see, but I've been gradually ticking off as many countries as I can.
That's really great. Yeah. Being in that central location helps you visit all of these really cool places nearby. So, that's really great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, if you have to convince someone to go to Croatia, what would you say to them about it?
Yeah, I would say you just have to go because it is like a stunning landscape, and there's something about the kind of like the red rooftops, blue sea, hilly green. It's just beautiful colors that make you really appreciative of being there. And also, there is lots to do, especially in the summer, lots of like water sports, boat tours along the coast. I didn't travel much inland, but a friend said it's absolutely gorgeous as well. Something for everyone, whether you want to walk around, explore the old town, explore the nature, do something more adventurous, go out for nightlife. They had all of that and more and ticked off like everything on my list. So I would highly recommend to anyone, no matter what your travel preferences are.
So, did you go in the summer this year, 2024?
Yeah, I went like technically beginning of September. It was the end of our Euro summer. Honestly, it was a good time to go because it was cheaper with flights and accommodation and less crowded. It was still amazing weather. We didn't notice it was the end of summer and things were wrapping up. I like going when it's slightly less crowded. It's good to have people there, but not too many. And that's why I like trying to find like hidden gems and more like secluded beaches, stuff like that. Yeah, it was a perfect time to go for us.
It was almost like a shoulder month. Summer was almost ending, but it
Yeah,
was quite good in terms of weather.
I love traveling during the shoulder season, especially big summer destinations. So that's what I did with Italy, and it helped a lot. So I'd recommend that for anyone.
I want to know about, you've already mentioned it a little bit here and there, but I want to know like if someone asks you for the kind of things that they should know before going to Croatia, what would your tips be for someone who's visiting for the first time?
Yeah, so I think some of the stuff I've already said is like, definitely visit during a shoulder season, I would say. I think Croatia is also one of those destinations that is growing in popularity. It already has been, but I think it's going to continue to do. And so I can see it just getting busier and busier each year. And I've had friends saying, "Oh, I love Tovar, but I went 3 years ago and then 1 year ago, and it's just getting so much more crowded, much more expensive."
Mm.
So I would definitely recommend like a shoulder season or something to still get the great weather, but less crowds. Another thing was during this whole trip, we needed cash a lot more than we thought we would because a lot of any of the accommodation, they expected the payment to be done in person when we arrived, all in cash. And especially like when we had an Airbnb in Montenegro for 4 girls, that's a decent amount of cash. So I would say we didn't expect how much cash we would need. We also had to pay for the boat tour in cash, paddleboarding,
Mm.
any of those like activities was meant to be in cash. I think all of the like restaurants and supermarkets and everything, that was fine with card. But yeah, I would definitely, if I could go back and do it again, I would have pulled out more cash before the trip or just pulled out more all at once. Just because every day it seemed like we were having to get a bit more. So that was something we noticed for sure. I would definitely also recommend like what we did with finding Booza Bar in Dubrovnik or one of the swimming spots in Hvar. Like definitely look for hidden gems or
Mm.
places that are a bit more secluded and less crowded, talking to locals or other travelers about where they've gone. That is one of my favorite things, and it worked out really well, especially on this trip. Like this was such a good example of getting recommendations from others and letting that lead the trip in a way that we couldn't have asked for any better. And then I think, oh yeah, the other one is that there were a few clubs that we had researched that we were like interested in going to. I think
Mm.
especially in Dubrovnik, but because we were there at the end of summer, some of them had already closed or their like hours had changed or something. So I would say definitely do your research on not only like what clubs you'd want to go to or any nightlife, but also if it would be open. I
Mm.
think we saw some of the same with different like water activities. They shut
Mm.
down once it's not summer season. So that's
Mm.
something to note, especially when you are looking for the shoulder season stays, that it can affect your experience if you go too late. Definitely do your research ahead of time just to make sure that you don't get there and you're like
Mm.
disappointed. And also, the good thing about shoulder season is also that even though some things are more closed, some of the club entry fees, which there weren't too many of, but like any clubs that did have entry fees, they would post that it was like half price. Same with
Mm.
some of the ferries. Like once you hit September, I think it gets cheaper as well. So you win some, you lose some. Some places might be closed, but you're also going to save money and it'll be less crowded. So I think it just depends on like how much you care about going to a certain place. And then I think last one that I had thought of was just really trying a lot of the local cuisine. I again didn't know much about it ahead of time, but I was like very pleased to find it was a lot of like seafood, had a lot of Greek or Italian influence. So as you can imagine, those are some of my favorite cuisines. So I was very happy. But there's also some stuff that's influenced by more the like Balkan region with Bosnia because my friend Eden is actually part Bosnian, and she was like, "Oh, like my
Mm.
grandma makes this food," the kind of thing. And so there were different things like the burek pastry that you
Mm.
actually wouldn't find anywhere else that was more specifically Croatian. So that was amazing. They also had plenty of other dishes to try that were meat based. I only eat fish, not meat, so I couldn't. But I would highly recommend doing that. Eden said they were great. So I think the cuisine there was something that I was like pleasantly surprised about and didn't know much about
Mm.
and definitely excited about that. But I would say definitely the highlight overall was a lot of the nightlife and the different activities that we did.
Mm.
There's just so much to do, and we could have spent a whole month just exploring those 3 cities, I feel, and we wouldn't have
Mm.
gotten tired,
Mm.
especially like day trips or going on like a motorbike around the island. Obviously, that would have been more expensive, but yeah, there's just so much to do. And I highly recommend Croatia to
Mm.
anyone that's looking, especially for a good like summer holiday kind of
Mm.
destination.
Since you were talking about the cuisine, what was the best meal that you had over there?
Let me think through like the pictures on my camera roll. I do think the truffle gnocchi in Dubrovnik still sticks out as
Mm.
one of the best meals. It was just, it wasn't overpowering, but it was still like creamy and it was just everything you would possibly want. We also got like some roasted peppers and stuff. It was a great meal. And the portions were so big that Eden and I actually decided to split one, and that was perfect. And so we saved money there as well. So that was good. All of the meals we had, we really enjoyed. I think we definitely did a lot of like pastries and pastas kind of stuff. But I would do like a seafood pasta or something. So that was incredible. And actually, in Montenegro, I had stuffed mussels with Parmesan and lemon, and that was amazing. I saw that at other places in Croatia, but I'd already had it. And so I was like seeking something else, but I know that it would have been amazing. Yeah,
Mm.
everything was just so good. But that truffle gnocchi is still up there. I just did pictures of it again. I'm just like, I really miss that.
You're still dreaming about it.
Yeah, no, I think me and my friend actually have had like dreams about it. It's just, and I've tried to find a way to, I've tried to find like a restaurant in London that has something similar. And it's just, it's, I have to go
Yeah,
back.
but those were all really great tips. Thanks, Katherine. I'm down to my last question for you, which is, did you pick up any souvenirs in Croatia?
Yes, yeah. So I mostly picked up, I collect postcards from everywhere I go. So I tried to pick those up and I always try to get different locations that we like had actually gone and visited. I don't think I bought too much else, frankly. I We bought like some jewelry and stuff. They had like street markets and everything. So that's always fun to just collect a little piece. And especially like when someone compliments it, it's just, oh, thanks, I got this on my trip. It's fun to have a little piece of it with you. But I think usually I do limit myself mostly to postcards. And I also take an insane amount of pictures and videos. So that's in a way my souvenir. But yeah, mostly just jewelry as like an additional souvenir. I used to buy a lot of souvenirs when I first started traveling, and I just noticed that I collected too much. But we did see a lot of like really amazing markets that had like jewelry, different like handicrafts. So that would definitely be something to check out. Havar is also known for having great like clothing, like not necessarily luxury, but like really nice designer stuff, really well made. And if we had more money, we would have bought it. But it wasn't the cheapest. So if you're going to Hovar with less of a budget, definitely check out some of those shops as well, because they had some of the most beautiful dresses, swimsuits, all that kind of stuff, purses. I would have loved to buy some of that, but I tried to restrict myself.
Yeah. But you were also doing like a budget trip and you
Yeah,
also plan to go back. So I guess that
I was
makes
gonna
sense.
say, yeah, especially being, I think if I had been traveling from America, I would have bought more or tried to stay longer. That definitely, being so close definitely affects how I've traveled now. And when I was doing Europe travels from America, I definitely did buy more souvenirs because I also had a bigger bag with me. And yeah, I was able to bring back more. And I knew I wasn't gonna be able to go back, so I'd get like cookies in Slovakia because I was like, when am I gonna get those again? So yeah, it definitely affects the way you travel, but I've enjoyed it so much, and it's nice to be able
Mhm.
to get back to places so easily.
That's the fun part, yeah.
Definitely. Feel very
Yeah.
lucky to be able to do that right now. So
So thank you so much for sharing about your trip to Croatia today, Katherine. I'm really glad that you could join me. It's been really fun speaking to you and all your suggestions about having a really budget trip to Croatia, especially. They were really helpful, and I'm sure that our viewers will find them quite helpful while they're planning their trip. So thank you so much for that.
yeah, thank you again for having me. And I was happy to talk about it and share any
Yeah.
wisdom that I have from those 6 days. So I hope anyone listening puts Croatia higher on their bucket list after this, because I definitely would.
Yeah, thanks once again. And with this, we will sign off for today. Bye bye.
Sounds good. Bye.